This is a revise with me video on factorising quadratics. So I've done a video on factorising single brackets and I've done a video on expanding double brackets. So expanding and factorising go hand in hand. So if I was to expand this double bracket using FOIL method and simplify it, I'd end up with this as my answer, is x squared plus 2x minus 8. Factorising is where we take this and we go back and put it into double brackets. So all of my answers will look like this. So I can almost immediately start with that information. So I can start with the double brackets. So let's have a look at one. So we've got this as our first question. We've got factorise x squared plus x minus 6. So I know that they're going to go into double brackets. And I know that because I've got an x squared, the start of them are both going to be x's. I can't fill in my pluses and minuses yet because I first need to take this end number. So I always start with that end number. And I want all the factors of 6. So I want pairs of multiples, two numbers that multiply to make 6. And when I add them together, I make 1. Okay, so I want two numbers that when I multiply them, they make minus 6. And when I add them, they make 1. So I always start by writing out my factors of 6. So my pairs of factors, I know there's 1 times 6 gives me 6. And I know that there's 2 and 3. So I want to know which one of those can come together to make 1. So I know 1 and 6, I can't do anything. I can't plus or minus those to make 1. But I can plus or minus the 2 and 3. And because I want to make plus 1, I know I'm going to have to do plus 3 minus 2. So I want to do 3, take away 2, gives me 1. Okay, because I want a positive 1, because there's a positive plus 1 here. It'd be completely different if there was a minus there. Okay, so one of the brackets is going to be plus 3, and one of the brackets is going to be minus 2. You can check that by expanding it if you want to. So you can do your FOIL method, and if you come out with this as your answer, you've done it right. Okay, so again, we know we've got to have two brackets. And we know because there's an x here, whatever that letter is going to be an x at the front, x at the front. So now I want the factors of 6 that when I add them, they make 5. So I'm going to start by writing out my factors of 6. So I've got 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. Now both of those pairs can make 5 because I could do, well, I know 6 take away 1 is 5 and I know 2 add 3 is 5. However, there's the minus in this top one. So I need to look, I need to see, right, this is plus 5 and this is plus 6. So I need them both to be positive. So I need plus 2 plus 3, so I know they are both positive. Okay, so I can't do 6 take away 1 because that wouldn't give me positive 6 and positive 5. Okay, well, it would give me positive 5, but it wouldn't give me positive 6. So they both need to be a positive because I've both got positives. Okay, so again, we want the factors of 20. So I need two numbers that when I multiply them, they make 20. And when I add them, they make 9. Okay, so in my brackets, I know I've got my x at the front. So these two numbers here, they've got to multiply to make plus 20. And they've got to add to make 9. So if you can't think of those, start by writing out your factors of 20. So 1 times 20, 2 times 10, they give me 20, 4 times 5, that gives me 20. And those are all my pairs of numbers that make 20. So I need to look at these and which ones come together to make 9. So these are the only ones that can plus to make 9. So I can do 4, add 5, gives me 9. Okay, so I need my double brackets and I need my x at the front of both of the brackets. Now I need to look at my numbers. I've got factors of 9, so I need two numbers that multiply to make 9, that when I add them, they make 10. So factors of 9, 1 and 9 and 3 times 3. They're the only factors of 9, and which ones can add together to make 10? So the only ones that can make 10 are 1 and 9, so it's got to be 1 and 9. So because they're both plus, I can add them. 1 plus 9 makes 10. So that's my answer. Alright, so I'm going to start with my double brackets. So I know because there's an x, I'm going to put x and x at the front of both of those brackets. And this one, I want two numbers that multiply to make 12 and that come together to make minus 7. So I've got a minus and a plus here, so I know my signs might be a little bit different here. So start by writing out your factors of 12. Write out all your factors. So I got 1 and 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Now I want to know which ones can come together to make 7. So the only ones that can come together to make 7 is 3 and 4. Now if I did 3 add 4, that would give me 7, but that'd give me a positive 7. I need to make minus 7. So the only way I can make minus 7 from 3 and 4 is to go minus 3, take away another 4. So I'll have minus 3 minus 4. And I know they multiply to make 12 because a minus times a minus is a positive. Okay, next one. We've got all minuses here. So we've got start by your brackets. And at the front of your brackets comes an x. So now I want two numbers that multiply to make minus 24. And when I add them, I get minus 2. Start by writing out your factors of 24. So I need 1 times 24, 2 times 12, could be 3 times 8, could be 4 times 6, and those are all of my numbers that can make 24. Now I need one of those pair to make 2. So the only ones that can make 2 is 4 and 6. So I now need to make minus 2. So it's very important if you either do minus 6 add 4 or 4 minus 6. So which way around you need it. So you need to make minus 2. So you could do minus 6 add 4 is going to give me minus 2. So I need the one to be minus 6 and the other one to be plus 4. And they do multiply to make minus 24 because we know a minus times a positive gives me a minus. Okay, next one. We've got start by your brackets. And at the front of those brackets, I've got my x. I'm going to need two numbers that multiply to make minus 27 and that add to make 6 or minus 6. Start by writing out your factors of 27. So pairs of numbers that multiply to make 27. We got 1 and 27 and 3 and 9. Those are the only pair. And the only ones that can come together to make 6 is 3 and 9. Now, we need one to be a positive and one to be a negative in order to make minus 27. So which one is which? So we need to make minus 6. So if I did plus 9 minus 3, that would give me positive 6. So it's not plus 9 minus 3. If I did minus 9 plus 3, that gives me minus 6. It's going to be this one. So we've got minus 9 plus 3 gives me minus 6. And that's my answer. Okay, this one, it does look tricky, and some people might try and put this into single brackets, but it's still a quadratic. So with this one, start by your double brackets. So I need an x at the front and an x at the front. I need two numbers that multiply to make -6 and that add to make nothing. There's nothing in the middle, so I want them to cancel each other out, basically. So think of your factors of 36. I got 1, 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, and 6 and 6. So which pair can make nothing, can cancel each other out? So the only ones it can be is 6 and 6, because I could do 6, take away 6, gives me nothing. So I would go 6, take away 6 is 0. So it has to be 6 and 6, and one is a positive and one is a negative. So I'll have +6 - 6.